Found that dream home? Want to make an offer, but you're worried about losing it to a better offer like the last three? The game is not real estate. The game is baseball. Hi, my name is Don Barrar, and I'm a realtor in Scottsdale. In this episode of Arizona Real Estate, I will show you how to use Zillow to improve your chances without making a ridiculously high offer.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and cracker jack. I don't care if I never get back. Let me root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
What made the great baseball managers like Yogi Berra, Casey Stengel, and Leo DeRocher great? Were they just lucky? Well, maybe a little. But they made their own luck by playing the percentages. Pitch hitting that left-handed batter against the right-handed pitcher, bringing in the left-handed relief pitcher to face the left-handed batter. They knew if they managed their teams this way, they were more likely to win games rather than lose them. Making an offer in this hot real estate market is just like baseball. You need to play the percentages. In my last episode of Arizona Real Estate, I stated that for the first quarter of 2022, the median sold to list price ratio in Scottsdale was 2.2%. This meant that if you made an offer of 2.2% above list price, you only had about a 50% chance of having your offer accepted. For some of you, a 50-50 chance of having your offer accepted might not be good enough because you really need a home. But how much does that offer really need to improve to increase your chances? Let me show you how to use Zillow to find out. Let's assume you found that perfect single-family home in Scottsdale, zip code 85260. The list price is $1 million, and you believe the home is correctly valued. If you're not certain of the home's value, watch my 2 videos on how to value homes. Links can be found in the comments below and in the end credits. But how much should that offer be in order to improve your chances? The way to find out is with a sold to list price distribution in conjunction with the fair market value to determine the offer price. The first thing that needs to be done is to set up a tally sheet to mark off sold to list prices for homes that have sold. I have done mine electronically using Adobe Illustrator, but a sheet of paper will work just as well. Looking at this sheet, there are a set of numbers going from 0.9 to 1.2 in increments of 0.1. 1 represents a home that's sold at list price, 0.9 represents a home that's sold at 10% below list price, and 1.2 represents a home that's sold at 20% over list price. Next, open Zillow and select Buy. For location, enter the zip code of 85260, then select the For Sale icon. Scroll through the drop-down menu and select Sold. Next, select the price range. Since the home we are attempting to figure out how much to offer is $1 million, I have pre-selected a range of $700,000 to $1.3 million. Then, select the box that has houses. I have pre-selected houses. Of course, if this was a townhouse or some other type of property, you would want to make a different selection. Finally, select the box that has more. Scroll down to the menu item Sold and Last. This is marked at 30 days, but that only gives us 37 properties, not enough for a good sold to list price distribution. Select 90 days. That's better, giving us 90 properties. Quite a few of these will not be usable because there's not enough information. But once we've gone through all these properties, there should be enough left over to perform an analysis. Start by selecting the first property. Scroll through the information until you come to price and tax history. Here, find the sold and list price. Since the property sold for $1 million and was listed for $1 million, that's a sold to list price ratio of 1. Make a mark next to 1 on the tally sheet. Look at the property 2. Again, scroll through the information until you come to the price and tax history. Here you find that this property sold for 6.7% greater than list price. Place a mark next to 1.06 on the tally sheet. I'm going to speed through the videos, so the 20 minutes it took me to collect the data will take about 20 seconds of video time. I'll make a couple of stops along the way to show exceptions. Let's stop at this property. This home sold for 1.3% below list price. I've marked the tally sheet in the category 0.98 because the home sold for 98.7% of list price. We'll speed up again until I come across another interesting property. Look at this one. Scroll down to the price and tax information. This home sold for $700,000 or 103% over some price. But the 103% is compared to when it last sold in 2002. That doesn't help us. This is a home that was not in the MLS. There is no information about list price, and it is impossible to determine the sold to list price ratio. This is an example of a home that will be excluded. Finish collecting data from Zillow. It took about 20 minutes to go through 90 properties. Add up the results in each of the categories. 0.93 was 1, 0.95 was 1, 0.96 was 3, so on and so forth for each of the categories. I compared these results to what was in the MLS, and they were identical. This is as expected, as Zillow is pulling results from the MLS. Continue using the tally sheet or change to a spreadsheet application like Excel. I'll be transcribing information from the tally sheet to an animation application to show what needs to be done with the raw data. The first column is called bins, and each bin corresponds to a category on the tally sheet. The next column is called frequency. This column contains the results from the tally sheet. Next, add up the results in the frequency column. That's a sample size of 68. The next column is called fraction. Calculate the fraction as a percent for each bin by dividing the frequency by the sample size of 68. For example, the fraction for bin 1.0 is 13 divided by 68 times 100, or 19.1%. The last column is called cumulative sum, or Q-sum. These results are derived by adding the previous Q-sum result to the current bin fraction. For example, the first Q-sum value is 0 because the fraction for bin 0.90 has a value of 0. The Q-sum for bin 0.91 is determined by adding the Q-sum for bin 0.90 to the fraction for bin 0.91. The Q-sum for bin 0.91 is then 0 because 0 plus 0 is, well, 0. This starts to get interesting for bin 0.93. The previous Q-sum value for bin 0.92 was 0. Add to that the fraction of 1.5 for bin 0.93, and we have a Q-sum value of 1.5 for bin 0.93. For bin 0.94, add the Q-sum value for bin 0.93 to the fraction of bin 0.94. This results in a Q-sum value of 1.5 because 1.5 plus 0 is 1.5. Okay, now, last example. For bin 0.95, add the Q-sum value for bin 0.94 to the fraction of bin 0.95. This results in a Q-sum value of 3 because 1.5 plus 1.5 equals 3. Calculate the remaining Q-sum values for each of the bins. When done, the final Q-sum result should be 100. I came up with 100.1, which is the result of a rounding error. The rounding error will not make any difference in the final result. Now that the data has been assembled, chart the fraction for each of the sold to list price categories. Again, you can do this either on a sheet of paper or your favorite spreadsheet application. This chart is what statisticians refer to as a histogram. When looking at the chart, it is easily seen that buyers most frequently purchased homes at list price or a sold to list price ratio of 1, which was about 19% of the time. 4% of the time, buyers purchased homes at 96% of list price. What about those homes that sold for 18% or more above list price? This occurred about 6% of the time. These are the homes you hear on commercials where the happy seller states, "I sold my home for 20% above list price." Really, what most likely happened was that the home was listed at a price that was way too low for the market. Buyers as a group saw the true value in the property and then made offers relative to the true market value. Chart the Q-sum values calculated in the previous table. What does the Q-sum curve mean? For a sold to list price ratio of 1, find the corresponding Q-sum value. This is a Q-sum value of 39%. This means that 39% of all properties sold for list price or less. For a Q-sum value of 50%, find the corresponding sold to list price ratio. This is a sold to list price of 1.02 or 2% over list price. This means that 50% of all properties sold for 2% above list price or less. This also means that an offer that is 2% above list price only has a 50% chance of being accepted. The most important thing to remember about using QSUM information is that it is relative to the value of the property. Why? Because as a group, buyers will intrinsically know the real value of the property and bid prices up or down relative to list price. Let's take the example of a home that sold for $1 million in Scottsdale 85260 that is correctly valued. If we wanted a 75% chance of getting this home under contract, a QSUM of 75% is required. This corresponds to a sold to list price ratio of 1.06 or 6% above list price. In this situation, an offer of $1,060,000, 6% above list price, would be acceptable. Now let's say that you value the same property listed at $1 million as really worth $1.1 million. Most likely, other potential buyers as a group would similarly value the home. Then to have a 75% chance of getting the property, you would want to make an offer at 6% over your estimate of the true value, or $1,166,000. There are all kinds of offer possibilities when using sold to list price distributions and QSUM. Make an offer that is consistent with how you value the home, along with how willing you are to lose the property to a better offer. The choice is yours. Will you always get the property using QSUM? Absolutely not. But if you play the real estate game like Yogi Berra managed baseball teams, you are more likely to succeed and not overpay for properties in any market, up or down. So be like Yogi, play the percentages, and let the data be your guide. Hope you found this helpful. As always, if you have questions, leave them in the comments section below. If you've not already subscribed, please do so, and I will be certain to make more great videos to help you with your understanding of the real estate process. Talk with you soon.